I'm Sensei Thomas, and before I start this video, I want to remind everyone to warm up before you practice, and then when you practice these things, do it at your own risk. If you practice with someone else, it's at their own risk as well. Also do it at your own peril if you're teaching someone that maybe not understand things quite right, like if they got some cognitive issues, or if they're a child. You probably don't want your child doing things like, if I teach you how to gouge someone's eyes, you probably don't want them to practice that with you, and well, you especially don't want to gouge each other's eyes in practice. But overall, you don't want them to expose them to things that they might do when protecting themselves at school, because if a kid's trying to push or punch them, you don't want your kid to gouge your eyes and then the kid can't see for the rest of their life, for example. So that's at your own risk. Just decide what you're going to practice with other people and what you're going to expose them to. Also, I only want to use these things for self-defense. I wouldn't recommend practicing with someone unless you both have training. If you do that, though, be real careful. If you have to do it at all, just practically do it in self-defense, protection. Don't go out there starting things. And even then, it's still at your own risk. There's a lot of these things could really escalate a dangerous situation. Sometimes they could save you from a dangerous situation. I'm not going to tell you which ones those are, but it's at your own risk if you do this to protect yourself, and it just makes the other person more violent, more angry, and it ends up making the situation more dangerous. Sometimes it can help you get out of the dangerous situation. That's all up to you to figure out. All right, so I'm going to start out by showing you some nuances of a punch. And there's a huge difference between how the average person punches and how a trained person punches. And it really changes the effectiveness. So you'll see what I mean. All right, so average person, if they're not doing something completely silly, like I see a lot of videos of real fights where people like go like this. I call it swim fist, because they don't want to get their face hurt, but they're trying to hurt the other person, so that it looks like they're trying to swim. All right, or like this, like they're trying to dog paddle. You know, there's different swimming things that I don't know why they do those things, but if they're doing some punches that look halfway decent, it might look like that, but they're still not very good. Because let me show you the difference. This is how a boxer or a good martial artist does it. All right, so okay, this is how an average person does it. Okay, professional. Okay, see how I'm using more of my body than just my arm? Okay, that's called kinetic linking. Boxers are big on it. Some martial arts do it. I'm going to show you a bit of that on this bag. All right. This bag is more heavy duty than it looks, because we actually filled it with beans, so it's a little bit heavier and a little bit more solid. Than it looks. Right, so this is an average person kind of hitting it with their arm. And I'm trying to hit it hard, but with just my arm. Right? And this is me using my kinetic linking. Alright? So there. The beam up there is a little bit unsteady. I could hear it shaking. Alright, so let me help you get this down. So we're going to start out with just our ankles, our heels. Well, it's going to move the legs too. That can't be helped, but we'll work both at the same time. But in Western boxing, there's a lot of stepping and moving like that to get the power. All right, and there's some twisting with the ankles too. But Filipino boxing has a lot more ankle in comparison to the stepping, but both have both. Let's get you so you can see me a little better. So let's start out. I'm mostly experienced in Filipino boxing, so we'll do it that way. By twisting our ankles. Okay, you can put a ball down there or something to knock. The retraction is the quick retraction is important, including for the punch. You don't want to throw your punch out there and then kind of come back. You want to bring it back as quicker than you throw it out there. Okay, so Alright, you hear how I'm exhaling. And then we add the hips to that. So, okay, that's the hip with it. Okay, I'm not trying to punch for now, I'm just keeping my hands up here, either boxing position or karate position. Okay, and see how hard you could hit something. Okay, you could put someone's hand here. I'm trying not to move my hand, but I end up moving a little bit, but most of this impact you hear is from the hip. Okay? So if I'm not moving this, but I'm hitting it with my hip to do that. So you're taking your ankle and your leg and you're adding to your hip. You hear the exhaling. Okay? Now you add your shoulders. So if you got someone's hands or some focus mitts, you could try hitting them with your hips. Now you're going to hit those same things with your shoulder. Alright? So, okay, and then you add all these things together. So practice this individually for a while until you build them. Don't go through them as quickly as I did, like only a few seconds on that and a few seconds on this, okay? For minutes. Practice these until you get them down. Okay? And then you add your punch. Okay? And so some boxers, when they're practicing without gloves, they'll still have boxer's glove like that. Okay, and then sometimes their pinky will be out. You don't want that either. A lot of people that fight on the street, they'll kind of go like this because they're used to seeing boxers and they want to be like a boxer. We want tight fists for this, so that's how your fist should be. Your thumb shouldn't be up and above anywhere like that. Definitely shouldn't be inside here. Fingers should be like that, thumb should be right here. You're hitting with these two knuckles. You can keep a tight fist and a loose arm at the same time. The best of two worlds. So you don't have to keep your fist kind of loose and only make it tight at the impact. Alright, you can keep this tight, but this loose. There's some training on how to do that specifically, but I won't go over that right now. You want this bone to line up with these knuckles. So not like that or that. You want it to line up like a gun sight. You want your wrist to line up like that with your arm. Not like that, not like that. Okay? And when you punch, you want a slight bend in your arm. It should be sort of like a strong spring that's like a semi-rigid spring. It shouldn't be like a bar. Okay, you shouldn't have your arm like that. Hyperextending it, you could hurt your arm just punching by yourself. You could hurt it trying to punch someone else, or they can hurt it after you punch them. Or there's a lot of martial arts people are good at taking an arm that's already locked, and then or they try to lock an arm like this and then control you by it. All right, and you don't want to do half the work for them by already having your arm straight. Okay, it should always be kind of curved, and springs are powerful and they're always curved. So whether it's a coiled up spring or an extended spring, coiled up punch or extended punch, it should always have a curve to it. That way you could also retract it quick. All right. See the time that we have here? Okay, good. So, bent arm. Okay. This the body turns out a bit, and then it comes back. Let's see what else should I cover. So this twisting motion is just one motion that could help you do more powerful hits. Okay. There's some other motions, and I'll go over those a different time.